On this channel, $1 Million Made Easy, we love to run numbers for people. Here's what we do. We ask if you have a beginning balance. We also ask how much you can contribute a month and whether you want to increase that uh, by a certain amount each year. And then we go ahead and run the numbers for whatever time period you pick. In this case, I got the following scenario asked of me. Said it's a couple that's 31 years old. They currently have 200,000 saved up, which is one of the criteria I need to run numbers for you. They have 200,000. They say between the two of them, they can save 1,800 a month. Don't know if I mentioned, they said they're 31 years old, so they can save 1,800 a month. And they want to know where they might be in um, by the time they're 60. So I've got a 28 and a 30-year column, so it's going to be somewhere in between there. Given that scenario, over the 28-year period, they have 804,000. They would have put in 804,000, and over a 30-year period, they would have put in 848,000. So I'm going to look at we're going to be looking at the 29 and 30-year column. And here's what we do on this channel. We actually look at the actual returns for the S&P 500 for the last 100 years, both the good decades, the bad decades, and everything in between. And we go ahead and run the numbers. In this case, we're going to be running the numbers for the 28 and 30-year period. Actually, I'll calculate for all these, but we'll just be looking at these two columns. But let's go ahead and update this. Oh, they also said they can get 3% raise each year. So we're going to increase that 800 a month by 3% a year. So in other words, the first year will be 1,800, the second year will be 1,854, and so on. So they'll be putting in correspondingly more money. They'll have over $1 million. So we'll see where they might be in 28 and 30 years using the returns for the last 100 years and projecting ahead the same type returns going forward. And we're going to come up with a range. And the numbers are going to show us for the 28-year column, they would have put in $1.127 million. And now we're going to look at the actual results for the 28-year column. The worst case scenario in the last 100 years for a 28-year period, given these numbers, would be $5.187 million. The median in this column, all the way going down through, where this is calculated for each of these time periods, they have 7.794, and there's actually a time where you'd have 19 million. So again, what we do on this channel, we use the S&P 500 returns. We look what similar returns might do for you in the future, and the results are simply a possible range of what may happen in the future. And so the range for the 28-year period would be anywhere from 5.1 million up to 19 million. This is the actual breakdown for the 28-year period. 49%, of the time, color coded in green, you would have $8 million. There's some right there. 38% of the time, you'd have over 10 million, color coded in blue. And 12% of the time, you'd have over, color coded in gold, would have $14 million. Let me just show you a few more of these right here. Going down through here, you can see the ones that are a little bit less than 8 million, the ones that make it to 12 million and 14 million. And that's what we like to do on this channel, is just show you the different numbers. Let's look at the 30-year column breakdown. 30-year column breakdown, this would be 79% of the time. This one's right here. You would have made it to 8 million, 51% of the time to 10 million, and 28% of the time to 14 million. You would have put in 1.227 million. The worst case scenario in the last 100 years for a 30-year period, you have 6.786. The median in this column, 10 million. But you get the idea. The range would be from 6 million to 23 million. We always like to take into account inflation. I just run it at the historical average of 3%. What would these numbers have in buying power after 30 years? It's 6.786 to have the buying power of 2.796. The 10 million have the buying power of 4 million, and so on. That holds true for all these different numbers. I've just color coded it for these numbers, but we could be looking at some of these other columns as well. You can see if they took it out to 34 years, if they're 31, by the time they're 65, look at the kind of numbers they'd have, which let me just look at the 34. I'm just curious myself. 34-year column, the actual breakdown. 100% of the time you have 8 million, 100% of the time you have 10 million, and 79% of the time you have 14 million. That's just look at this column right here. But the other thing they wanted me to do is they also save quite a bit for big expenses that might come up, and they asked me to. They save 1,400 a month. They said, what if we put 400 a month more into that. So that'd be 2,200. Am I 1,800? I'm going to go ahead and run the number. So 2,200. That'd be the 1,800 they already planned on plus 400 more of the month. And we're going to go ahead and update this. And we'll be looking at the same 29 and 30-year columns. Again, this is for a 31-year-old couple who already have 200,000 saved up. And they're going to put 1,200 or 2,200 a month in and see how these numbers would change for them. And now we got quite a bit different situation here. I changed the color coding a little bit for this additional amount they're putting in. And look at this, over a 20-year period, they put in 1.33 million. The worst case scenario then would be 5.828 million. But look at the median, 8.842. And here's the actual breakdown for 28-year period, because they want to know if they could retire a little bit earlier with it. 42% of the time you'd have over $10 million, 36% of the time you'd have over 12 million, and 16% of the time you'd have over 14 million. If you go to the 30-year period, the numbers are even more mind-boggling. 61% of the time over 10 million, 46 over 12 million, and 35% over 14 million. You get the idea. So again, I don't know what figure they're aiming for, so I don't know what to run it for. But if you look at they want to retire a little bit earlier. This is the actual breakdown. The same kind of numbers for a 26-year period. So let's see the breakdown there. 26-year period, 25% of the time you have over 10 million, 17% of the time over 12 million, and 5% over 14 million. They just wanted me to run numbers for them. It looks like they're well on the track of being multimillionaires, even taking into account inflation, even looking at the period of 26 years instead of 28 years. The buying power of this 4 million, and this is the worst case scenario again, it would still have a buying power of close to 2 million. And the median 7 million of the buying power of 3.3 million. Again, that's looking ahead with the inflation rate projected at 3%. But that's what we do on this channel. We run numbers for people. Please consider subscribing. Please share this with friends. Let them know there's a channel out there that will run numbers for them. And this couple looks like they're well on the way to being able to retire earlier, or at least being multimillionaires at age 57 and 59, let alone 61. So thanks for watching.